So not only can we run and see what's running on the machine, we can dynamically run something. And you'll note how quick that happened. I was actually pulled up my device that I'm doing this demonstration from, and you see how quickly I was able to launch an application as the administrator. Now, I might determine that this application has to go. I don't want it there. If you'll take note of the command prompt at the bottom of the screen here, I've selected, and I'm going to click Terminate, and it disappears and tells me that it succeeded. So that's very tightly integrated solutions. The integration takes moments to integrate both BCM and FootPrints together. You simply make each aware of where the other is installed, whether that's on-premise or off-premise, hosted by anyone or not, and it's very easy then to accomplish. The other great thing about the integration between these two product lines is that the actions that you invoke, the running of the processes, the advanced actions, the kicking off of an automation, all gets documented automatically in the history of the ticket. The other thing I can do directly from the BMC FootPrints interface with the integration is get as much information about that device as I would need without having to go to a third-party product. I can look at the hardware information. And this is a summary. I can always do a deeper dive if I need to, but for the most part, when I'm troubleshooting a device, this is all that I would ever need. We can look at the software, and again, this is more of a forensic look at the software, the individual EXEs or add remove program entries, typical stuff I'd want to know if I'm troubleshooting a device. Maybe there's an issue with the firewall or some aspect of security that I wanted to know about, and we do have a very deep dive inventory capability around the security of a device. I mentioned we keep track of all the history of actions you've performed against a device, whether that's kicking off a piece of software, whether that's excuse me, whether that's performing a remote control operation. We do keep track of all of it for Sarbanes-Oxley and other compliance aspects. And then also on my slide deck, if you recall, we talked about the understanding and importance of understanding contract information, support information when you're troubleshooting a device. Wouldn't it be great to know before you start to work on a device that you have a gold contract with the provider of the device, and you can just kind of hand them off to someone else as a support technician because you have a contract with them to help you fulfill that service? Or wouldn't it be great to know, like I mentioned before, that they're halfway through their life cycle? Maybe they need a new one. Maybe it's easier to give them a new one than to troubleshoot the issue and so forth. So a lot of capabilities or automation capabilities when you have this layer of detail. The other thing we can do is kick off what we call an advanced action. And an advanced action is the exposing of any package or operation or job that was created by a third-level technician to resolve an issue. If you think back to my slide deck where I talked about the automation of a fix for that error, and where once upon a time it took me 20 minutes to troubleshoot an issue, and now it takes me 5 because I can just push a button. Well, this is that button. And if we dive into these different folders here, you can see I've got some sample deployments. I have sample help desk commands. Maybe I want to remember my example of a financial institution where we disabled the USB writing to a drive. Maybe there's a good reason why someone needs this access. I could very easily create a job that gave them access to the USB drive for an hour and then it disappeared again. And that may have to go through an approval to the CFO or something. Maybe you simply want to notify a variety of people about a particular thing and you want that to occur dynamically on their desktop or laptop, wherever they may be. Maybe you want to kick off an antivirus scan because you think there's an antivirus that's rampant on their device because of something they've told you. These are all simple examples of actions that you can perform directly from the solution, above and beyond, of course, the simple deployments. But you can see the ease with which you can access that menu. It is security driven, so certain people will have certain access to certain actions based on the job function they perform and the asset, of course, that they're looking at. So all in all, I think you'll see the integration is very important and can be a tremendous tool in helping you optimize your IT service management processes. With that concludes the physical product demonstration here today. Let me flip back over to here and now turn it back over to Dick for Q&A and wrap up.
All right, thanks, Adam. Great job. Excellent presentation. Now would be a good time to submit a question. I see we have a couple. I also had a question for you because, Adam, when you went through the presentation, you gave a scenario. It was a healthcare organization. They had I guess it was a router that went down, and they used BCM to figure out what particular router was down. Is that right? And then they sent a technician over to fix that so that you suddenly had access again to that EMR database.
That's correct.
Was it sort of the gist of it? So I guess you could make a case that you wouldn't really need to make a big investment in performance management managers then, like a Nagios or something like that, because you could kind of use BCM to do some of this. Is that the idea?
So Nagios is what you're looking at your servers to help you understand information or issues going on, right? Or your routers themselves. Mm-hmm. This solution is what we call it agent-based monitoring because it's the result of something happening in the data center on the endpoint that you can now use to troubleshoot and fine-tune and determine root cause analysis. So they do work together. I'm not sure one is a replacement for another, but it's certainly complementary and can often be a better indicator of the problem than a server performance monitoring tool, for sure. Yes. And
okay.
and that gave me, what is going on here? I've lost my key press. Oh boy.
Okay.
I was going to attempt to show, and I may not be able to.
Well, why don't you? Well, let me answer another question, and you can play around with that. And this one I can handle. Okay, the question is, why should we purchase from you versus BMC? And I'm not making that question up. That was a real question that was asked. Okay, and the answer I think is really pretty simple. The first one is that although you might say BMC has real expertise in these particular products because it's their products, and that certainly makes sense. Well, we do too, and we've been doing this for a long time. The BCM product is not brand new. Now it's gone through many upgrades, but we've been right there along with all these different upgrades, and we have people that are trained. They're experts. They're not just wrench turners, but they're people that really understand the whole process side of it, and we're very customer focused. BMC actually uses our consultants on a redirected or subcontract basis. So if you did decide to go to BMC instead of RightStar, could be that you'd be getting that service delivered by a RightStar consultant. So that's something that whoever asked that question, we'd be happy to address in more detail. But again, we're very excited about this, and I think it's something that you'd have a very excellent experience with. And that the other question that was asked is pretty much similar. Does RightStar have its own resource for BCM, or do you have to use BMC? So I think I've kind of answered that. We do have a team of experts. We also offer what's called L1 support. So in other words, you call us. If you let's say that you decided to do all the implementation work all on your own, if you got into some trouble, you could call us. And it's really, we call it L1 support, but it's really more like 2.5 support. We'll help you out if there's a software defect. That's something we wouldn't be able to help you with, but we would certainly try to expedite that and get you patched up with BMC. We also offer remote administration services. So, Adam, did you get your system back?
I did, and this is just kind of a play on what that scenario where, if the tickets that submitted automatically their inability to connect to a particular piece of software, I could see here that, this device, all these machines here are connected up through this device here, and this device is a component of the email service. So if this, back to my healthcare example, was the EMR, I could route the fact that the EMR was using a particular switch to deliver its information, and these devices were behind that switch. Thus, if I had tickets created by each and every one of these devices, it's a pretty good idea that what stands in between me and accessing is this network component. And as the network engineer, I can find that component, get additional information about it. We can drill down into it and do an analysis of it. I could look at the iOS. We can do additional things. And through automations, through manual reboots, whatever it is that they have to administer their network objects, reboot that device, fulfill that service, thus closing those tickets automatically. And this just gave me the opportunity to show visualization, which I think is another great aspect of the FootPrints product line.
Yeah. Well, it certainly seems like the two products were designed to work together, and that if you decided to buy one, like let's say you had Service Core and you didn't have the Asset Core or BCM product, you could use another discovery tool like SCCM, but it wouldn't be as elegant, right? It would.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So we can consume, of course, discoveries from many products, whether it's a discovery tool or an inventory tool or performance tool, and we can bring that into the CMDB. But it's on you as the partner or the customer to build those different import routines and synchronizations and mappings, whereas if you own BCM and the FootPrints Service Core together, it's basically saying, yes, I want you to import hardware, yes, I want you to import software, yes, I want you to import relationships, and everything that I just showed you automatically occurs without any sort of administration or configuration.